tell you, I was blessed yesterday. World War I Armistice Day, of course, is where it originated from, and got to spend some time with Mom and Dad yesterday, and my sister. And of course, Dad's got some old home movies that my granddad had cataloged back in the 60s and 50s. And it just kind of hit home and a lot of pride. One of them was my granddad captured my dad coming back from service in the late 60s. And just kind of hit me with gravity to watch him go to his granddad at that. Of course, his granddad be my great-granddad. That man was behind the lines in France, and I was thinking on this day 100 years ago, probably about 8 or 9 hours from now. Of course, we know the armistice was signed at 11, but probably took a while to get to the troops in the trenches and the battle lines, but I bet he threw his hat straight up in the air and was ready to go back to East Texas. And there he was on the porch of that old East Texas home place, welcoming my dad back home. And got to see that on video. It was really, really cool. My paternal great-granddad in World War I. Of course, you know, it's important to celebrate this stuff because over 100 years ago, I think it was 2012 when the last World War I veteran actually passed. So there's no first-hand accounts of that conflict anymore. So we must talk about it and pass it forward and document it, if you would. But my paternal granddad, as I was saying, was a runner. Of course, small-framed like I am and fast on his feet. I'm not saying I am, but he was. But he was a messenger behind the enemy lines there in France because there wasn't no Facebook and no cell phones. And, of course, had to get messages back and forth. And that was his duty. So that's kind of cool. He held me, I think, when I was 2 years old. I did get to hear his voice on an audio recording, but never met him to my conscience mind anyway. But just really in reverence of that day. Man, World War I, man, how many lessons have we learned? There have been some learned, even in spite of all the other wars that we've had to fight. It all boiled down and started from I guess just a rogue, small-time royalty in the Balkans there, and then all his family got involved. And all the main players in Europe were all related, first cousins, from the Tsar in Russia to Britain and Germany. And that's something, so I guess it was just a big old family feud. Man, lots of lives lost, millions and millions of people over really aggression and pride. And of course, we didn't get involved until they started. Germany, I think, sunk some passenger ships contained Americans, and then there was rumors they was going to give Mexico back Texas and California. Well, I guess that riled us up enough to get involved. But thankful that it ended. Hopefully we've learned lessons about diplomacy. Sometimes you have to have military might to back those words up, but I'm always a fan of sitting down and reasoning together, especially when there's lives at stake. But sure appreciate all of our veterans that have served in wartime and in peacetime to preserve the strength of those words of diplomacy. It means a lot. Lay their lives on the line for us. Y'all celebrate a veteran today and really think about all of the sacrifice and really what that means to be a servant in that regard. But hat tip to all of them.